For those of you who aren't familiar with what we do, Michigan Gun Owners is a registered nonprofit and grassroots organization, and we are committed to educating the public on safe and responsible gun ownership here in the state of Michigan. And we are here to defend your right to keep and bear arms as guaranteed by the Bill of Rights and Article 1, Section 6 of Michigan's Constitution. And what a great thing that we have with the ownership of guns in Michigan, supported by our Constitution. We were established in 2002, incorporated in 2003, and we have been at the forefront of gun rights here in Michigan since that time. A couple of weeks ago, Michigan Gun Owners lost our president, Mr. Mike Borders, so I'd like to ask all of you to join me in just a quick moment of silence for Mr. Borders. Thank you. Mike was instrumental in working with legislators, creating and introducing pro-Second Amendment legislation, and was a very, very vocal supporter of the individual right to keep and bear arms. Mike is missed by all who knew him and had a profound impact on my decision to become a part of Michigan Gun Owners and to be up here today. I'd also like to thank Mr. Mike McKay for asking me to come up here and speak today. So, over the past couple of months, the anti-gun crowd has been more vocal than ever, especially following the mass shootings in Las Vegas and the school shooting of Stoneman Douglas High School in Parkland, Florida. Those individuals have been calling for what they believe in to be common sense gun reform laws, and in some cases calling for an all-out repeal of the Second Amendment and asking for a confiscation of those firearms. To that, I say hell no. We've seen legislatures from other states passing laws allowing for the confiscation of firearms from those who would otherwise be lawfully able to possess those firearms, as well as states and businesses requiring adults to wait until they're 21 before they can purchase long guns. I don't know about you, but I refuse to shop at those places. Now, here in Michigan, we've been lucky enough not to have too many of those issues popping up. But we must all remember that we are only one election away from allowing the legislature to attack our constitutional rights. Our state's issues, while not quite an outright assault on our rights, are still very real and have great impacts on the ability of citizens to protect themselves. We are currently awaiting a decision from the Michigan Supreme Court to determine whether or not lawfully owned CPL holders can carry their firearms on school property. Michigan Open Carry is currently engaged in a legal battle with the state police over MSP's excessive profit making from CPLs. And most importantly, we are all subjected to the restrictions that go along with carrying a firearm, either openly or concealed, with or without a CPL. It's time to call on our legislators to act to get rid of pistol-free zones in Michigan. It should never be up to politicians in Lansing or at the federal level to determine the manner in which a person carries their legally owned firearm. We should have the power to make that decision for ourselves. The common argument that the gun crowd use is that guns will create a Wild West, and we all know that that's just not true. It hasn't happened. The places where gun owners are allowed to carry their firearms are statistically more safe than those without. As Mr. Kolbeck said, 98.7% of mass shootings happen in gun-free zones. I refuse to let myself be a victim of that statistic. advocates of gun control have been calling for bans on so-called assault weapons and weapons of war. Funny enough, those weapons are already heavily regulated by existing laws and regulations. I've gotten a kick out of listening to people call AR-15s and similar firearms weapons of war. Well, I'll tell you what, I've served 3 combat tours in Iraq. I've never seen an airman, soldier, sailor, or Marine walking around Iraq with an AR-15. Those same critics like to make comments about how rifles are used in so many mass shootings and that we need to ban assault rifles. But the FBI, their homicide data shows that rifles were the cause of only 374 deaths in 2016 out of almost 12,000 firearm-related deaths. Seems to me that assault weapons are not the problem. They fail to recognize that all we need to do is enforce existing laws. One of the most startling arguments by those same advocates is that lawful carry of firearms make the community unsafe, and we know that's just not true. So how can we have an impact? What do we do? There's a lot of talk about, listening to the voice of the politicians running, and absolutely. But most importantly, I would ask that all of you get involved with an organization that best suits your thoughts or your beliefs. Michigan Gun Owners is one option. We have a membership table set up underneath the tent.
There's several other firearm rights groups.
Did we lose it? Nope, there we go. All right, so there's several other firearms groups, support groups here in Michigan. We all have tables set up. That's another way. But most importantly, the number one thing that you can do to have your voice heard is to get out in front of these issues with your legislators. Sit down and talk to them, call them, write them emails, and have your voice heard. Some of the things that we're currently working on right now, proposed legislations in Senate Bill 586, which adds school districts, libraries, or other political subdivisions to the state's definition of local units of government. This has been stalled since November 17. House Bill 5414 has been stalled in the House Judiciary Committee since 2018, and that would allow for a lifetime CPL here in Michigan. It is absolutely imperative that we talk to our local officials about getting these bills passed. Don't sit idly by. And I think it's very telling of the individuals who are out here today from our state capitol who are supporting what we're doing and the ones hiding behind the walls of their office. If they're not out here supporting what we do, then they need to go.
That's right.
So with that said, I appreciate all of you coming out today. This is probably the largest event that I've seen in the couple of years that I've been coming out here. So thank you all for your support. Thank everybody here for putting this together. And we look forward to working with all of these firearms groups here in the state of Michigan. Thank you.